Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on exploring a new era of influencer marketing, brought to you by global affiliate marketing platform Awin. My name is Amrit Verdi, reporter at Marketing Week, and today I'm joined by Awin's Influencer Partnerships Lead for Europe, Ellie Davies, and Influencer Partnerships Manager, Jessica Marshall. We will have time for a Q&A at the end of the discussion, so please do submit any questions you have, and I will put as many as I can to them at the end. Questions can be submitted via the Questions tab.
Thank you so much, Amrit, for the intro. Hi, everyone. I'm Ellie, the European Influencer Partnerships Lead at Awin. I've been with Awin for the past 7 years, which is pretty crazy, working across all of our client services teams. And I've also been a part of the social and influencer marketing space since around 2012. So over the years, I've had the chance to collaborate with a wide variety of companies and brands, from data platforms, food products, and all the way to the wedding industry as well.
Hello, I am Jessica, the UK Influencer Partnerships Manager here at Awin. Now, I've been working at Awin for just over 3 years now, supporting a range of SME and enterprise clients with our in-house solutions. And totally, I have nearly 5 years experience in the marketing field and also 5 years experience as a social content creator myself across the beauty, fashion and lifestyle verticals. So first, let's introduce who we are at Awin. So Awin is the largest affiliate platform globally, with over 30,000 advertisers running their affiliate activity through us. From here, we're able to connect them to our choice of over 1 million active affiliate partners. If the affiliate world's relationship with influencer partnerships is unknown to you, we are more than happy to provide a snapshot into how this actually works. Simply, Awin acts as the mediator in these marketing relationships between brands, affiliates, and influencers. It is the Awin platform that helps advertisers with their discovery of partners, coordinating marketing campaigns with these said partners, measuring success, and thus rewarding those partners that have helped you achieve your goals. This is a fully dimensional control of the partnership that you create, allowing you to choose who you work with, how you collaborate together, what you measure, and the rewards you pay out to those that hit those targets. So, how can you integrate influencer strategy into your own affiliate programs? So here at Awin, we want to ensure that every client's needs are met, that options available suit a range of different needs, goals, budgets, and timeframes. For a more holistic approach, you can recruit influencers to your program individually through our UI and Express Influencer sign-up portal. Individually, you can keep track of their performance using our in-house team support regionally or globally. This is in essence what both myself and Ellie support. Our range of packages can support a variety of budgets to suit your marketing preferences, whereby we can get really granular and flexible with the approach that we lay out. Additionally, you can also work with us to connect with a variety of our top dedicated influencer platforms with the likes of Creator IQ, Metapic, LTK, Stylink, and many, many more. This is a great solution in which to diversify your publisher mix and still get access to Awin's seamless tracking capabilities. The choice is completely yours and super, super flexible.
So some of you may have joined us, but for those that didn't, Awin recently returned from a really special event celebrating 25 years of business. The conference featured an incredible lineup of speakers, including industry thought leaders like Rory Sutherland, Scott Galloway. But one speaker who really stood out for us was Karen Nelson-Field. She's a leading academic in marketing effectiveness. And in her session, she highlighted the scale of the challenge that marketers face today, simply getting noticed. With consumers' attention more fragmented than ever, she really put it bluntly and said that in today's landscape, ads are served, but rarely seen. One striking insight that she shared with us was that the average person now scrolls through around 300 feet of social content a day, which is roughly the height of the Statue of Liberty. So that stat really puts into perspective just how hard it is to capture consumer attention in today's digital landscape. The reality is that most digital ads are ignored, and around 85% receive less than 2.5 seconds of attention. So how can we as marketers drive real engagement when attention is so limited? Karen offered 4 key recommendations for cutting through the clutter and delivering true marketing effectiveness. And one in particular really stood out to us, obviously, influencer marketing. And she's not alone. More and more senior marketers are recognizing that direct partnerships with influencers and creators are among the most powerful ways to generate real value, build trust, and hold attention in a really distracted world.
Last year's IPA Effectiveness Awards saw the chair of judges and CMO for the bank nationwide, Catherine Kehoe, announce the arrival of a new era of marketing effectiveness in her speech. Within this speech, Kehoe described and highlighted the declining effectiveness of advertisers sitting in central command posts where ads could be fired out automatically at scale. She instead suggested a new world order was emerging, one where it was important to get out and meet your audience where they spend their time, ensuring you engage with them authentically through partnerships and collaborations, something we value really strongly within our own influencer partnerships at Awin. Although not referenced by name, influencer marketing does embody this very sentiment. And this very much can be seen in the ad spend figures of today's industry. So advertising spend has been predicted to top $1 trillion for the very first time this year, with over 70% of this invested into digital advertising. However, not all of this growth is equal. Although digital's double-digit growth of 10% in 2024 is incredibly healthy for such a relatively matured industry, influencer marketing's own annual growth of almost 14% indicates its growing importance to brands. In fact, the above figure here excludes money being paid out to influencers via affiliate commissions. So it is more than likely that this sum is significantly larger. Marketing Week themselves actually reported only a couple of weeks ago that WPP's latest report suggests that for the very first time this year, more than half of the content-driven advertising revenue will come from platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Creator content is taking over our well-known professionally produced content when it comes to advertising. As consumer appetite looks for urgency and demand, and we are targeting Gen Z, Millennial, and Gen Alpha audiences that really do inhabit a large social space for us, it seems brands are leveraging the use of quick-fire content to reach their targets and produce more authentic ways of advertising.
You can also see this growing influence of creators reflected in the strategies of some of the world's biggest brands. So for Unilever, for example, one of the major moves by their new CEO, Fernando Fernandez, was a bold commitment to significantly increase investment into influencer marketing. He pledged to shift 50% of the company's ad spend towards creators, with a strong focus on partnering with local influencers who have real trust and authentic reach within their communities. As you can see on screen here, his vision is to have one influencer in every zip code. And I guess affiliate marketing is playing an increasingly valuable role in helping brands coordinate this and measure their influencer activity. As the influencer space has evolved, it's become more accessible, scalable, and performance-driven channel for marketers. With brands seeking more meaningful ways to reach and connect with audiences online, many are turning to influencers to help achieve that effectively and authentically. But as investment in this space grows, so does the criticism. Brands are under increasing pressure to prove the effectiveness of these partnerships and demonstrate clear impact within their campaigns. As Nick Tran, the former global head of marketing at TikTok, noted shortly after his appointment as the far-fetched CMO, show me the ROI is now the most common question aimed at influencer campaigns from CFOs. It's a sentiment that Jess and I hear consistently in our conversations with brands and clients. Almost every single discussion that we have around influencer marketing eventually comes back to ROI. And this is just clear that it's proving measurable impact is no longer nice to have, it's essential. This growing demand for measurable impact is exactly what's driving major social platforms to focus on bridging the gap between influencer investment and actual shopping behavior. A great example of this is TikTok's recently launched feature, Affiliate Creatives, that some of you may have seen. The tool is designed to make it easier for brands to integrate influencer content into paid campaigns. So rather than manually sourcing or creating ads, TikTok Shop merchants can now automatically convert approved affiliate generated content into paid ads. So all of their UGC content that consumers make can now be monetized. This new feature allows brands to repurpose authentic creator content to power TikTok's Smart Plus and GMV Max automated ad solutions. And this is helping drive conversions more efficiently and at scale as well.
So the ultimate question is, how did we get here? So this ever-growing need for ROI and measurable outcomes feels an absolute far cry from the mega celebrity campaigns of old, where it was commonplace to hear of brands paying millions of dollars for just one post mentioning them or their product, if at all, from the likes of celebs like Cristiano Ronaldo, Selena Gomez, and Ariana Grande. And while this strategy may still hold some merit, as a series of missteps from brands in the space and high-profile mistakes have now forced many to rethink their approach. So when we look at an overview of the industry today, we can call out numerous high-profile mistakes when it comes to more celeb-focused and high-profile influencer campaigns that have very much been more brand-led, whereby the efforts of the brand have perpetuated more of a culturally tone-deaf feel as they've tried to tap into zeitgeist moments using influencers or created campaigns that misaligned with the public mood. So highlighting here Kendall Jenner's TV ad with Pepsi as one case study, which caused notable controversy when it appeared to piggyback off the Black Lives Matter movement and a specific moment from the protests at Baton Rouge. While we take on Tarte Cosmetics as another example here, they flew out a load of influencers for an opulent brand trip to luxury destinations, which really did spark a public backlash at the time, when many were facing real economic hardships and a cost of living crisis, which ultimately felt completely out of step with the experiences being portrayed by the campaign. So turning next to the infamous fallout from the Fire Festival, where organisers used the cachet of high-profile models and influencers to sell tickets to the disastrous music festival, which ultimately culminated this being turned into a hugely popular Netflix documentary. In some fashion, the Fire Festival embodied the evolution of influencer marketing that we are still living in today. While the use of these celebrity influencers, who were actually paid $250,000, were successful in promoting the glamorous appeal of the Fire Festival to people online, the most impactful content around the event actually came from real people who eventually did actually buy tickets and experience the event for themselves. So tweets featuring the real-life experiences from non-celebs and non-influencers showcase the reality of the event from an average consumer standpoint. So photos of the campsite, the accommodation, and most notoriously, the food, all went viral in ways that went far beyond what the original brand campaign looked to highlight. In essence, the above encapsulates what consumers were really hoping to see from people of influence: real stories, real moments, and recommendations from that friend next door. I know, Ellie, we were actually chatting about this earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, God, I think I was at uni when this happened, or like well into uni. I desperately, desperately wanted to go as well. Imagine.
I know. Well, at least you had a lucky escape. I think this was, I don't think I was actually the demographic for this. I think I was just
You were
about
younger,
16,
weren't you?
so not quite the demographic, but it's interesting to see such a huge prolific case study this is made today, really.
Crazy.
So actually, incidentally, that famous tweet of the cheese sandwich was actually later sold on as a NFT, which helped fund the medical bills for the guy who tweeted it when he did need a kidney transplant. So through all the missteps, some good came from the Fire Festival. But in all seriousness, the shift from top-down messaging to bottom-up has aided in building real-world storytelling in what has actually characterized the evolution of influencer marketing in recent years. We now look to our smaller creators sharing their 9-to-5 corporate lives, their trusted beauty routines, and their balance of influencer and corporate living to really replicate a sense of normalcy with the content we now want to digest.
So, as public trust in traditional institutions, from governments to media and big tech, continues to decline, people are increasingly turning to more relatable sources, as just said, the real lives and experiences of micro and nano influencers. These everyday voices on social platforms are filling the credibility gap, especially among the younger generations. Idleman's annual trust barometer highlights this shift as well, showing that Gen Z's trust in brands recommended by influencers has grown significantly, with an 11-point increase over the past 4 years. I'm not personally Gen Z, but I'm definitely heavily influenced by content that I see and content that I take in, and I'm aware I'm probably in the worst job ever for being the sort of person that does that. But yeah, here we are. I definitely wouldn't buy something without seeing reviews anymore. And there's a very few amount of micro influencers that I really, really trust. And some of them aren't even influencers per se, but just through my friends that are posting content on their accounts as well. And Jess, I'm definitely influenced by all of the things that you post as well.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
It's working.
It's working, yes. But it is very true. I think today, in today's society especially, we're very reliant on seeing ads and reviews, and not just from creators, from your average person with, the accessibility of things like TikTok Shop. Often when we're buying a product, we want to see what reviews, how good it is before we actually commit to buying, going on an experience, going on a holiday. And to be honest, this isn't really too dissimilar to how we kind of functioned before influencers were really this big. In life, we've relied on reviews and magazines, and ultimately, what do we do when we want to go and see a film? A lot of us will turn to Rotten Tomatoes to see what it's actually been predicted or graded at, what percentage, and whether it's worth watching. So this is ultimately what we've actually just replicated with influencers.
So some research from Dr. Grace Kite at the marketing analytic firm Magic Numbers reveals a significant difference in ROI based on influencer follower size. So micro-influencers outperform larger creators, generating an average return of £18 for every pound spent. And this is compared to just £5 from influencers with over 160,000 followers. So this point was also actually highlighted in our recent Awin think tank session that I mentioned earlier. There's a real sweet spot with smaller influencers, and we consistently see strong results for our clients when they focus on these more engaged, authentic audiences. Also, it's really important to grow with influencers as well. So someone with 5,000 followers now could work in a partnership with you and by the end of the year have 50,000 followers or even more. And actually, Jess, you attended the YMS last month, didn't you, as well, and had some interesting takeaways there?
Yeah, so I think a common thing I've been seeing in a lot of industry events, not just from YMS, but also Creator Connect, is about building community, which in essence is what we really try to build at Awin. It's about positioning the right influencer. We could pick an influencer that has thousands upon thousands of followers, but it might not be the right target audience for you and your brand. I think often something that we talk about, and also what was a huge point at YMS, last week, was that views don't always equal conversion as well, which is an important actually thing to address when it comes to influencer marketing.
Definitely. Actually, that's just reminded me of something that I read recently. I think Grace Beverly, who is a founder of Tala, a sportswear and like athleisure brand, they recently interviewed an Instagram CEO, or the Instagram CEO, sorry, and they spoke about brands reimagining how they class the success of campaigns as well. So using things like shares and saves by followers as a metric. And I think that's something that we've been readdressing in the last year or so outside of traditional metrics. So not only are these smaller creators driving higher ROI, they are actually outperforming in ways that sit beyond likes and followings as well.
Definitely.
So one of our favorite success stories actually comes from the brand Stanley. And if you have TikTok, you might have noticed their Quencher bottle, or affectionately known the Stanley Cup, emerging as one of the must-have fashion accessories in recent years. It's incredibly hard to get a colour that you want as well, by the way. Tried to find a pink one recently, couldn't, sold out everywhere. I think it would take far too long to explain to someone that isn't chronically online how a flask invented in 1913 became a viral sensation among teenagers. But again, here we are. From Stanley's perspective, when it came to Black Friday in 2024 in Brazil, the most important thing was to turn their newfound popularity into sales. So for this, Awin's platform was used to recruit local influencers that we spoke about earlier, with a combined reach of 800,000 followers who received the inside info on deals, product availability, and any promotional opportunities as well around the brand. The Brazilian market is actually really unique in the sense that influencers use platforms like WhatsApp to communicate with their followers, and Awin really helped Stanley communicate and collaborate with each influencer on a one-to-one level, and then in doing so created really tight partnerships that guaranteed plenty of promotion around the Black Friday period. Results wise, Stanley saw a 105% increase in affiliate revenue year on year, which is amazing. And 20% of new customers converting over that period were from affiliate activity. And this all resulted in an ROI of 15 to 1.
I think it is actually really interesting with this case study. I think it really blew up on TikTok. I remember seeing this everywhere. But I think this just goes to show as well the success of one product, but also the way that other brands can also hop on this trend. So, the Stanley Cup isn't always accessible to every type of person, cost, where they live. So I do see a lot of other brands starting to kind of replicate this same product, but in a different way. I mean, if you go to TK Maxx, there are plenty of dupes for the Stanley Cup. So I think that just goes to show how one product can kind of segue into other sort of brands, building on that trend and building other forms of the same products as well. So at Awin, we are seeing a huge increase in the number of brands seeking to partner with both influencers and creators via their affiliate programs. Particularly, we can note this increase via our enterprise brands, for whom creators and influencers now make up more than half of all the sale active affiliate partners that they work with. However, small brands aren't being left behind here. In the last 12 months, micro SME businesses are growing the share of sales they see from influencers 30% faster than that of their enterprise-sized peers. So this just goes to show the power of influencers can work for every business. So among these brands who have been running these successful influencer campaigns and activity via their affiliate programs are a number who have recently joined us on our podcast, Awin Win Marketing Podcast. So these have been brands of all varying shapes and sizes, all of whom have shared some insightful advice for those looking to replicate a similar approach.
Very good podcast if anyone wants to tune into a new podcast at the gym or on a walk. Very biased there.
So our latest episode actually featured a conversation with Boots, the health and beauty retailer, who discussed their influencer activity via influencer platform BetterPick. So Ellie described how the team looked to quantify the value of their influencer activity. So this was actually done by measuring not just the traffic and clicks from their influencer partners, but including everything else from conversion rates and the quality of traffic being sent, the overall ROAS that they're seeing from investments, and not actually above all this, mentioning how their performance compares to similar competitors in the space. So actually within our own influencer team, we often talk about ways in which we can measure success just beyond conversion and compile all data and awareness together to really view success measurement more holistically. So one of our case studies here, interior furnishings brand McGee & Co, came on with influencer platform Creator IQ to discuss how they blended their own affiliate program with influencer partnerships, all of which was actually to help demonstrate the latter's commercial value to the business and encourage more investment to it. So this was actually done by creating a tiered ambassador program, which rewards influencers based on their ability to attain specific performance goals. A system that we too have replicated with many of our previous brands via our influencer partnerships team. So in partnership with Awin and Creator IQ, they have been able to establish a 3-tier program that defines the products that they would be gifted, the commissions they could earn, and even the discount codes that they could share with their following at each level. And in order to scale these tiers, specific revenue targets were set by the brand for each influencer. So the results of this: 300% growth in influencer contributed revenue year on year, 400% increase in impressions year on year, and a 67% uplift in monthly post volume from Jan 24 to December 24. So this actually leads us on nicely onto challenger sunglasses brand Tomahawk Shades, who actually won a Global Performance Marketing Award last year for their own brand building work in the sports influencer space. So the team had historically used a gifting strategy to recruit local emerging sports stars across golf, lacrosse, and baseball. However, as some of the careers of this talent took off and the demand for payment and upfront fees became apparent, the budget grew beyond realistic for the team. So one specific golfer had actually signaled their own ambition to start a line of sunglasses for themselves. It was here that Tomahawk Shades team offered an exclusive product line instead, with a higher CPA commission and complete creative freedom for this golfer to promote the product as they wish to their millions of followers. So of course, the golfer jumped on this opportunity, seeing the potential to generate a much larger income from the Tomahawk's partnership, and did make Tomahawk shades a recurring fixture in their own social platform. The halo effect from these posts saw the golfers' content being picked up by relevant media publications like Sports Illustrated. So this actually then featured reference to Tomahawk Shades products. So what did this result in? A 300% increase in site traffic for the brand, 15,000 new email subscribers, and more than 5,000 new followers for the brand's own Instagram account.
I definitely think the podcast is brilliant, isn't it, for brands to listen to, and anyone else really, if they want to get advice or tips on what other brands are doing. I mean, there's plenty of case studies on there that are kind of fitting into maybe what your brand does as well. So super interesting there to go back and listen to. So smarter strategies like these case studies that Jess just shared are driving increased enthusiasm among influencers for affiliate partnerships. And at Awin, we've seen a rapid increase in influencers joining our platform in recent years, and they are really keen to collaborate with more brands through these performance-driven partnerships. And at the same time, platforms like ours are becoming increasingly accessible to influencers as a straightforward and really effective way to monetize content and audiences. Over the last few years, we've actually been redesigning our platform to be more intuitive and better geared towards creators who want to focus on creating content rather than managing their programs in a more traditional affiliate way. So last year, we actually took a big step forward by launching our dedicated creator app to make this easier than ever for creators and brands. And you can see here that the response has been fantastic, with nearly 25,000 installs and 150,000 trackable links being built and made. And we just don't want this to become a companion app. We want it to become an essential monetization tool for creators and brands. So we're launching a lot of new solutions that make it much easier for influencers to discover and promote brands and products. With our new product search tool, creators can search directly within the app for specific products that they're interested in promoting, whether it's trending items or products tailored to their audience. The tool can instantly show results with available brand links so that they can grab their tracking links and start earning straight away. It's all about removing friction, really, and making it faster and easier for creators to connect with the right products and the right brands. In addition to this, our new storefront solution will also give creators a space to build and customize a product collection that reflects their personal brand or content style. So whether they're a lifestyle blogger, a tech reviewer, or a fashion influencer, they'll be able to handpick products and present them in a way that feels native to their audience. And of course, it's all completely integrated with affiliate tracking. So every product shared through their storefront is a new opportunity for them to earn. We really want to empower creators with these tools that are easy to use, impactful, and tailored to modern content strategies. And in turn, we want to make it more simple for our brands to work with influencers on a performance basis within our platform. So before we wrap up and take any questions that you have and answer some other questions as well, we want to leave you with one really powerful insight that was just shared in Cannes by the marketing research firm System1. They are leaders in measuring creative effectiveness using behavioral science. So throughout today's session, we've talked a lot about how brands are merging creator campaigns with affiliate programs to bring real accountability and performance metrics into influencer marketing. But here's the thing, obviously, influencers aren't just good for performance, they're great for brand building too. System1 actually analysed 16 years of Effie award-winning campaigns and identified the super touch points. So the media channels that deliver both short-term sales impact and long-term brand growth. You can see creators highlighted here. They did make the list. In fact, they ranked among the most effective touch points for driving future demand, which is a really, really big deal. So with Awin, you can achieve something really important, ensuring that your creator partnerships are not only delivering measurable performance, but also build your brand for the long run, empowering sustainable growth, deeper customer trust, and a competitive edge in an ever-evolving digital landscape.
So, How would you like to get in touch with us? I think that's a burning question that probably a lot of you have, and really start your influencer journey. So the following QR code here will actually allow you to download a form to directly populate for our team. So this can be as detailed as you like, and what support you're looking for or keen to explore. Our team will go away, digest this information and review, and from here align you with the best solutions for your influencer activity via Awin.
I'll leave this up on the screen for a little bit, just in case
Yeah.
anyone else wants to scan. And I think we're handing back over to Amrit.
We are indeed.
Thank you for that, Ellie and Jessica. Some really interesting insights there into the evolution of the influencer space, affiliate marketing, and also, I guess, the rise of nano and micro creators and the effects that they can have for businesses of all sizes. Some really interesting things there. We now have some time for some questions, and I can see that we've already had a few come through. If you would like to submit a question, you can do via the questions tab. So our first question is, as a small brand, if we were looking to work with influencers, how would we go about this, and what ways of working do you provide at Awin?
I think definitely we would say start small. So work with a few influencers at first and really engage with them. I think it's super important to build a community and create awareness as well.
Definitely. And I think we have a lot of packages with our team and without our team globally that can support this. We do know that obviously activating influencer campaigns that can be very time consuming. So obviously this is where you can really lean on our team for that support there. So influencer partnerships is a really great way to optimize. So we actually do have a lot of influencer partners on our platform. So all the way from gifting partners to commission to tenancy fixed fees. So whatever your preference is, if you're looking for commission-based partnerships, this is a really low cost investment way to kind of dip your toes in the water a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned some of them earlier, didn't you, as well, Jess?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Our next question says, what ways can we forecast results and measure success in line with our targets?
When we're starting with influencer campaigns, we have to trial things with creators. I think this is a really, really important thing to do and to think about when you're starting working with creators in a performance-based model as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I spoke about earlier with the Grace Beverley interview with the CEO of Instagram, I think there's so many other ways that we can define success of content as well. It's really just a case of like working with creators, working out what's working best. And yeah, I guess exactly like you say, Jess, trial with them.
Yeah, a lot of trial and testing and building different KPIs to meet your needs as well.
That's really interesting. Thank you. Our next question says, are there ways Awin can support us with influencers, even if we have existing influencer or PR teams?
Oh, yes, definitely. We always say that it's really important to align with PR teams and influencer teams and even any other channels as well that want to join the call. It's definitely something that we push for in the initial calls and when even just starting to talk about integrating influencers into affiliates.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's super important for us as a team to be able to ensure that we're not stepping on anyone else's toes, to make sure that there isn't double of influencers being paid, so to speak. But we can also make sure that we're not double paying creators, and we can make sure that we're staying clear of specific ones, if that's ones that your PR team are currently working with. But it's also super great to have that alignment as well. So we're able to make sure, you know, what your PR, social, or influencer teams are already working on, and what areas that we can really target. I think at Awin, and I think sort of on a broad spectrum in the influencer space, one of the things you'll hear a lot is about layering your approach. So about sort of targeting different areas with different sort of activations as well. So I think this is super important to have that sort of visibility on that.
We actually were on a call recently with a beauty brand as well and talking to their PR and influencer team that wanted to kind of double up there of, although they're working with these influencers on a PR basis, for example, taking them on a holiday or, you know, inviting them to events and that sort of thing, they still want to see that performance. So I feel like the teams are starting to align more and everyone is more aware now that you're not only going to get, like we said earlier, likes and following and all of this stuff, like you're getting other things as well. So you can actually see sales, you can see traffic coming through and really prove the worth of these influencers that you're working with, and maybe paying a lot of money. So you can see that they're earning that back for you as a brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Is there a method to find micro-influencers who have a following that represents the demographic that you want to target, such as an influencer search engine someone suggested?
Yeah, definitely. We work with a lot of influencer SaaS platforms as well at Awin, and through our own platform as well. We can definitely search that. We can get really niche. I mean, we worked on a campaign, didn't we, previously, a shoe brand that were looking to find micro and nano influencers that had spoken about their star signs before, because the product was based on star signs. So you can get super, super niche and super, super deep into the types of creators that you're wanting to work with, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. And we've got another question just come through. What kind of KPIs are the creators measured on, and they only get paid if they reach the KPIs?
I think it depends what KPIs that you set. So the KPIs that we measure completely vary. Like we said earlier, like it might be that they're wanting to drive a certain ROI or drive a certain amount of likes or views, or even like we spoke about, again, like I said, the shares and saves, that sort of thing. That's a new kind of metric that we're adding into the KPIs, really. Yeah, sorry, I've actually forgotten the second half of the question there, but Jess, you might know.
Well, I think it's about splitting your strategy. I mean, often we say that we want to focus on sort of sale targets, and that's a big area that we have with a lot of the clients that we speak to. And sales are incredibly important, but we want to measure things a little bit more holistically with influencers. So looking at brand awareness value, because again, influencers are huge brand advocates for your brand, and that a lot of sort of their power of influence does come from that brand awareness. So we want to be able to track that. We want to be able to see what kind of rapport that they have with their audience. Are people engaging in the comments? Are people saving these posts? Are they sharing them? Because at the end of the day, a like is a very, very short and quick win, whereas leaving a comment or saving a post, it goes that extra mile, and it really shows the community that those influencers are building. In terms of paying those influencers, again, it ultimately depends on the structure that you want to set out. We have different advertisers that have worked different ways. So we've had like advertisers in the past that do just pay upfront fees to their influencers and gifting, and they also pay a commission payout. If that's not something you're quite comfortable to kind of bridge over to yet, we have worked on other campaigns where it is commission only. So again, those influencers are only getting that commission and when they've actually been rewarded for that sale. So again, you're not really investing too much and losing too much money with that setup, if that is an area that you're a little bit worrisome about. We have worked that way, and also gifting as well. So there's a lot of gifting capabilities. Again, we have gifting platforms as well. So there are a lot of sort of low touch and starting points that you can work with. But I guess that ultimately does depend on the type of influencer that you're working with. So typically we find those bigger creators are looking for those fixed fees, whereas your nano influencers might be more amenable to a commission-based sort of partnership. So it ultimately depends on sort of the influencers you're looking to target there.
And just to like play off of what you've said there as well, Jess, we've actually had some brands reach out about having a blended sort of affiliate and tenancy payment. So they've set a target of, we want this creator to earn, for argument's sake, £100 in commission. If they don't earn £100, we will pay them £100. But maybe they've earned £70 in commission, and then the brand will top them up for £30 in that sort of way as well. So yeah, just something interesting to think about for people to think about.
Yeah, definitely. And even with the Tomahawk Shades case study that we spoke about earlier, this is something that we've replicated in partnerships in the past. So a tiered system with commission is really, really beneficial. So again, you're able to incentivize those influencers, build that partnership further, and build that longevity of partnership as well over a longer period of time, without, again, a risk to you and your budget as well. So again, it could be simple things as, okay, we're going to start those influencers off at 10% commission. Once they hit those sale targets that we're looking for, however many that would be, we're then going to move them to 15 and then to 20. So a tiered system is actually really, really successful for kind of making sure that you're placing your budget in the right place.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And you touched on brand awareness earlier on, Jess, and we've also got a question come through saying, what kind of metrics would you suggest are best for measuring an increase in brand awareness?
Definitely. I think views are super important. Impressions, again, these are all really important to make sure that you're targeting a specific amount. Again, this can be the direct audience or outside of this as well. So that power of views is important. It's not to say that that isn't. But even sort of those saves as well, I would say are really, really super important. Where sort of consumer sort of standpoint sits today is people don't necessarily buy a product from the first ad that they see. So it is more of a considered purchase sort of time frame now that we're sort of experiencing, where people will actually maybe take a couple of times seeing a certain ad or a product before they actually make that purchase. So again, those saves are super important because it means people are digesting that information. It's savable content. It's maybe something they want to return back to, whether it's a product that is on their wish list that they want to save. I know that I do that myself on Instagram. I have like a whole wish list sort of section as well. So it can be things like this. So I do think those views, those shares and impressions and views are super important to build that brand awareness. But even the community engagement, I think looking at those comments as well, are people asking where that influencer has got a product from? Are they asking sizing questions? Are they asking their opinion on the material of a product or its use, the color, the shades, or whatever it may be, depending on the product? So I think all of these are super important tools to kind of measure that brand awareness and see how successful it is.
I totally agree as well. I think definitely the brand needs to be looking at the comments, reviewing the comments. I think that's 100% the best point there. Exactly as you said, Jess, saves, also shares we spoke about earlier as well. We can see that sort of metric, how many times they're sharing that with their friends, with their followers. And also another thing that we've looked at recently as well with a specific brand was the amount of followers that I think I mentioned this earlier actually, but the amount of followers that a brand and the influencer had at the start of the campaign towards the end of the campaign, or like a bit later down the line, a few months down the line. That's like another good metric to have a look at as well.
Yeah, definitely, of course. And we've got another question come through saying, do you have any advice on how to have effective influencer partnerships in a more local setting versus UK wide?
Yeah, definitely. I think, Ellie, I'm sure you will agree with this. This is stuff that we've definitely targeted ourselves. We had a prospect from a telco brand that wanted to just target specific, I think it was Yorkshire area, wasn't it? And Lancashire area. It was very, very specific on sort of the geographical areas they were looking to target with influencers based on the products that they were selling. So again, the utilization of our SaaS platforms is a great tool for this because we can get super, super granular with that sort of sourcing of influencers and discovery element. So there is that capability to do that. Again, obviously, even working with our influencer partners, they will make sure that they're aligning people based on sort of the criteria that you set out. So any way that you work with us via Awin, whether it's with myself and Ellie or with any of our other global teams at Awin, or even just with our influencer partners, any sort of criteria that you're kind of looking to target, we would take that on board and make sure that we're meeting that target. So that could be anything from geographical location, age demographics, follower counts, engagement rates. So these are all things that we would take into consideration when we're discovering those influencers for you.
And we've had another question just come through saying, what would be your top tips for influencer marketing when it tends to be a one-time purchase?
That's a very good question. When it tends to be a one-time purchase, I would say just like ensuring that you're working with influencers that are also your customers. So they're maybe not buying things like one-off all the time, they're making purchases, but also, actually, Jess, maybe you take this one as well whilst I think out my thought process there.
Yeah, I definitely think when we're looking at one-time purchase, maybe if you want to move away from that and you want to build a bit more of consistency with obviously your sales and obviously with influencers and how they are able to kind of support your products as well. I definitely think I agree with Ellie there. Building with the community that are already customers, lots of influencers already talk about these products. And I often see this as a big mistake with a lot of brands where they're not working with these influencers who genuinely are living and breathing the product and constantly talking about it. And I know, Ellie, this is something that we do in our campaigns. We're genuinely looking for advocates for the brand. We want people that actually do enjoy the product, not just people who want that one-time partnership and then move on to the next. Like, we want to build ambassadors for your brand, people that truly love that product, especially where we talk about authenticity. And again, from a consumer standpoint, people want people that are true and authentic and reliable. So we want influencers that replicate that. But even just an organic approach, so some of the things that we've been implementing in some of our strategies with brands is kind of reducing and limiting gifting that we're doing with influencers. So we might initially send a gift card to an influencer with products, but then what we want to see is them utilizing their after organically within their content. So whether we then pay them for additional content, obviously pay them extra commission on, you know, trackable sales and links that they're sharing, we want to see that content organically used. We don't just want that one-time partnership and those deliverables and that's that. And more often than not, we do see a lot of influencers kind of going above and beyond and actually sharing separate content organically after the partnership as well, especially where there is the incentive, where they can generate more money through affiliate links. So I definitely think being more strategic and more mindful as well. I think you often hear this, and I've seen it myself on social media as well, even as like a part-time content creator myself, just looking at what people are asking and the demand from sort of a general audience. People don't just want to see someone that wears an outfit new every single post. Like, we want to see how people are rewearing things or reusing beauty products, or I want to see people that have been using a pair of straighteners for 5 years that are literally coming apart because I know they really love that product. And I think this is what we do in our strategy as well. And I think this would be something that I would definitely say to everybody you know, watching today. Definitely look at that sort of organic mentions, and you know, especially where you're spending so much budget on gifting and fixed fees, kind of retailoring it to make sure it's a little bit more organic for the influencers that you're working with.
I think as well, whilst you were talking there and I was thinking, Jeff, you can tell immediately when creators are going to be a good brand advocate for you, because they ask questions about the product, they ask questions about the campaign, they're asking what else they can do to support. Sometimes more than not, they'll be asking about commission because they know that they want to talk about this in a UGC way, in an organic way. So I really think just it all nails down to finding the right creators that, exactly as we both just said there, are your customers.
Yeah, that's really interesting insights there. And sort of following on from that, Rowan, we've had a question come in asking, how can you encourage user-generated storytelling with small influencers?
I think commission is a great sentiment with this. I think obviously we're so used to paying fixed fees and, you know, set deliverable content through contracts. You know, we may have influencers where we're like, okay, we want one post and a reel or what have you. I think when we're looking at user generated content, especially through affiliate programs, where a lot of the brands, even on Awin, are working with influencers organically in this way, it's a very low touch way for influencers to start monetizing their content, but also creating UGC for your brand as well. So this can be as simple as kind of gathering their like top 5 favorites from a beauty brand and pulling it together in a story. Just little things like this, or integrating it into their beauty routines and sharing that in their content. This again kind of lines in with what we've kind of said with organic way of working. And I think where we're kind of removing the parameters, where we're kind of going, right, we need this, and this from an influencer, where we're kind of, it's very regimented. There's a contract they need to sign. There's these deliverables and dates that they have to achieve and deadlines. I think when we open it up to be a little bit more flexible, that's kind of where that user generated content comes through, because people feel like a little bit more relaxed, don't they? And they feel like they can really shine. They've got the creative freedom with their content to kind of post what they like. And ultimately, if they want to continue that partnership with the brand, they will usually align it with the brand itself and sort of what you're replicating on your own social channels. And I know a lot of influencers are very kind of good at doing that, sort of looking at sort of the aesthetic of the brand and kind of taking that on board and then building that into their own strategy. So yeah, I would probably say that. I mean, Ellie, I don't know if you've got anything else to
I
add.
totally agree. I think letting the creators decide the type of content that they're posting is the most important thing, not exactly having too many regimented steps that they need to jump through, or hoops they need to jump through, sorry, I think is the saying, to get to the end goal of posting this content. Also just looking through socials and seeing the influencers that are posting this content and getting your brand to interact with these influencers. I feel like that makes you feel more part of a community. Something that we've seen work really well with some of the brands that we've worked with is to have on their website a link to their affiliate program, and really kind of push people that want to sign up and be a part of. I think some examples maybe like I think there's Lululemon does this and Etsy do this, where they have a Creator Co account and they really do just push people to join and make sure that they're making content, and be paid for it is really important there. So although this is all UGC content, it is kind of being ultimately driven by the fact that they know that their community are going to buy these products, and they're going to generate commission and commission there. I think that's super, super important. I guess, yeah, like we've said before as well, just building ambassador programs with all of these creators, talking to them all the time. I think the case study earlier, talking about Stanley really having like one-to-one interactions with influencers, it's not always possible, but you can create communities in some ways where you are talking to them all the time. So for example, we've in the past kind of set up a group chat with everyone so that everyone knows who's posting the content, like who's involved in the campaign, which again is something super important that creators want to know nowadays. They want to know who you are hiring to work with them as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of like a lot of words all at once, but yeah.
There's some really useful insights there. And we've got another question through about measurement again. It says, what metrics would you look at outside of CVR/ROI and revenue to measure the success of an influencer campaign?
I think there's so many. I mean, we've touched on a few of them before, like the generic ones, not generic ones, but the standard ones that we talk about, like likes and views. Definitely, they are two important things. Saves and shares, Jess and I also touched on earlier. There's other things that you can get within platforms nowadays, like earned media value. So that's like a super important one. I feel like everyone always mentions that now, EMV, but yeah, I think that's a brilliant one to kind of assess nowadays. I'm sure, Jess, you have a few more that you also know about.
I mean, honestly, you literally just took EMV out of my mouth. I was literally about to say that. But no, yeah, I think there are a lot of metrics that we can kind of look at above just sort of sales and, you know, traffic. I mean, even the Boots case study, just the way that they approached it, you know, looking at competitors, what are your competitors doing? Is there anything that you could replicate similar? Average order value as well, that's really important, but also clicks. And I know we talk a lot about sales, and sales are so important for your brand, but something that I often talk about, and I think we as a team talk about to the brands as well, is the power of the clicks as well. We have a lot of influencers that are very click centric. They get a lot of click data, but they might just be missing that mark for sales. That isn't to say that they're not successful in converting in any way. They just haven't been able to do that full user journey yet. And that's something that we can work on with them. And that takes time to grow. But once it does grow and it matures, we can see, you know, reap the benefits of that result. So I definitely think paying attention to things like this, yeah, just again, those are sort of the areas that I would really focus on outside of that. And obviously what sort of Ellie's mentioned here as well.
I also, without like bombarding everyone with too much jargon, we do have an Awin commission by assist as well. So like you can see where the influencer has supported in a sale journey, whether that is being the last click or maybe even the first click that they saw. You can just see where an influencer sits and really and pay them out based on the fact that they were involved in that journey. They were involved in many customer journeys. Maybe it doesn't always have to be like the total amount of commission that you give them, but it can be a percentage of that, which we think is super important as well. Like, I mean, we stress it all the time. Your creators should absolutely be paid for the content that they're making. But yeah, there's just different ways that you can do that.
I think that's actually just reminded me as well, just because you've said commission by assist, actually, we do have a voucher attribution tool at Awin as well. So if you're looking to set your influencers up with specific personalized discount codes, we often recommend putting it through the voucher attribution, because again, that does allow us to have tracking data as well, to kind of see things outside of just your normal sort of tracking and sale data as well. So that's also something to consider here as well, along with commission by assist.
Yeah, that's really interesting to get that insight into the platform. We've also had another question come through asking, what's the best way to work with content creators on a CPC model?
We actually have a couple of partners that work on a CPC model. So the likes of Metapic, I'm pretty sure Styling also work on a CPC model as well. So again, these can be a really organic approach. So I would highly recommend sort of reaching out to those teams. Obviously, I'm sure our contact details will be shared after this webinar. So if you'd like our teams kind of intro you to the teams and give you a bit of a warm intro, we're always happy to do that. But yeah, a lot of our influencer partners, we've also worked on sort of like CPL campaigns in the past, and I'm pretty sure we've done some CPC stuff as well, off the top of my head. So there are a lot of options, whether you want to do it with a partner or individually, there are those capabilities to do that.
Yeah, we can set that up through Awin, definitely, even not just with our partners direct ourselves, but something actually that worked really well in the past was the competitions. Do you remember, Jess? We did that with a partner, and it was like if the influencer drove X amounts of click, they earned like a bonus or a gift or a gift card or something like that, like rewarded them for driving clicks. So there's things that you can do and kind of integrate into campaigns that aren't the typical way of paying, definitely.
This is also great for, you know, the creators, just like I mentioned earlier, that might not necessarily be activating sales just yet, but they're activating a lot of clicks. They're still being rewarded for that click journey. So again, this is another thing to consider, again, looking at the influencers that you're working with and kind of what goals and what areas they are actually achieving.
Actually, you can also do things like app downloads as well, can't you? You can, like, if you want your
Yes.
influencers to promote app downloads, like you can do that, and also sign-ups to subscribe, like
Sign-ups,
subscription
yeah.
packages and stuff like that as well. That's like another cool thing that you can do.
Yeah, some really interesting insights there as well. We've also got another question through saying, we're a charity looking to engage influencers in our campaigns. How do you cut through and get influencers interested in your cause when you don't have as much of a budget?
Do you want to take this one, Ellie?
Jess?
I was not sure whether you were going to speak there. Again, it can be difficult when you're working with such a niche area. But I think, again, looking at influencers and looking at kind of the content that they produce, there are a lot of influencers out there that do talk about different causes and do a lot for charity as well. So I do think it's about blending it in a way that kind of promotes and sort of complements the content that those influencers are already producing. So whether we're working with a lifestyle influencer, for instance, maybe there's a way to integrate sort of your charity message into their own sort of organic content there. So I guess it's about keeping things quite open with the charity to kind of keep that interest with those influencers, and see actually whether there's a way that you can kind of unify sort of their presence and their brand identity and align it with sort of your messaging as well. And again, you can start off very small with this, like we've mentioned. So starting on those commissions to begin with can be a great way to kind of test the waters a little bit for you.
I definitely agree, 100%. I think the challenge will be to find the influencers, but once you've found them, I feel like if you start integrating that into their lives, into their daily content, that's definitely an easy way to kind of get around the high budgets. I think when you find the right influencers as well, it won't be a case of them saying, we want £50,000 to talk about this, because they'll be aware, and exactly like we've said there, they're part of it, part of the campaign.
Of course. We've had another question come through asking, how would you recommend scaling programs with nano influencers without losing trust and authenticity, i.e. through it looking quite overwhelming when too many creators are posting?
So this is actually something that we have been implementing quite recently with our campaigns, actually. So that sweet spot is always that nano and influencer sort of threshold when it comes to influencers. We find that there is a better trust and better authenticity. That's not to say with your macro influencers they don't have value, but just from when we're looking at sort of a sort of sale and click standpoint, that's kind of that sweet spot where we see that more that data kind of pulling through a little bit better. In terms of actually building out that campaign for you, there's a lot of ways that we can scale that to make sure that we're not losing traction with influencers. So one of the ways that we've done this with a couple of our clients is staggering out content. So when we initially set up those partnerships with influencers, we will say that we're looking for a specific amount of content from them, but to spread that out over maybe a month or 2 month period, where we'll also stagger it over a week's time. So if we've got maybe 3 pieces of content, we would maybe stagger that over a week, so they're not posting that all at one time. So it feels a little bit more organic as well, in line with obviously everything else that they're posting. So that's another great way to make sure you're not having that sort of ad fatigue and having creators going live all at one time. And when we discuss about scaling, it's super important and there's lots of value with that. But the one thing I would always say is quality over quantity. as well. So making sure that you are working with influencers that genuinely align with your brand as well. So it may be scaling it up sort of marginally rather than at full scale to begin with. So maybe each month you may add on 5 to 10 new creators, but you're still kind of nurturing the relationships with the existing creators that you have on your programs that you're working with, because that is super important. You want to keep them engaged. So like we mentioned earlier, great alternatives are those tiered commissions as well to kind of keep them incentivized and keep them keen. Other ways that we've done this is offering them goodwill gestures like gift cards and stuff, like no obligation gift cards and gifting. So these are other incentives that you can kind of do. And also, like we said earlier as well, with the organic strategy as well. So maybe setting them up with an initial gifting amount, and then from there, allowing them to kind of repurpose that content, allowing them to use those items across multiple pieces of content through a certain period of time. Yeah, that's stuff that I would suggest. Ellie, I don't know if you've got anything to add.
No,
to
I
that.
agree. No, you said it there. I think that's definitely it. I think longevity is key. If you're not seeing success straight away with an influencer, it doesn't mean that they're not going to work for you. I think carry on going, work with them for a long period of time. It's way more believable to the audience when that is the case. I think we can link this back to the UGC comment as well, of like having creators sign up to your program. So like putting out a campaign and having them sign up, which you can do with some of the influencer partners as well, because then you know that these creators are like reaching out to be involved with your brand because they know that their audience will love it. I think that's super important. Also, super simple thing, exactly what you've said there though, Jess, just have a campaign planner. Like plan out this content throughout the year, although it's sometimes like daunting to think, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what we're going to be talking about in a year's time. You maybe already know what products you're launching then, or at least what season it is, so you can have that all planned out to be like, this month or this week we're going to go live with this creator and this creator. I think just having it all laid out like that makes it super clear, and it really does help scale your campaign, and you know what is going to be posted.
Definitely. That looks like it's all we've got time for today. Apologies if we didn't get around to your question. We had some great ones come in. Please get in touch via the earlier QR code for any follow-ups. And thanks again to Ellie and Jessica for their presentation, and to those in the audience for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.